And all of a sudden, everything went black on the car. Our speedometer, our radio shut off, everything went black, and he starts swerving.
You're listening to the Calm,
the Storm,
the Whimsy
podcast.
Okay. So, we decided to take our boys to the novice state wrestling tournament in Toledo over the weekend. So, we went up there. We left our hotel at 6:30 in the morning. We drove to the tournament, and there were the parking deck. The doors opened at 7:30. Now, the thing doesn't start till 9. The doors open at 7:30. We got there at 8. The parking deck was full. So we had to park down the street in another parking deck. We were driving to find a spot. It was crazy. So we park, we walk in, and it's intense. I sent you guys pictures. There were so many people all over the place. I think there was over 1,000 wrestlers registered.
Wow.
So
I would have been overwhelmed.
It was crazy.
It seemed overwhelming.
It was overwhelming. And my poor boys, like, they wrestled so hard, but they wrestled some really good kids. Like, the first kid out of the block for Ike, he's going to state, like the normal state, not just novice. Like,
Yeah.
So Ike fought hard, made it to like the second period, and then he got teched. So that means the guy scored too many points on him.
Before the
So
match
he
was
automatically goes to the loser's bracket then. So like Ike hasn't lost any. Yeah. But I was so proud of him because I found out where he was training, which he does all year. And this is probably his third year wrestling, and that he's going to state and probably he's got a good shot at it. Mm-hmm. So anyway, that kid ended up taking third place. So the competition was real and it was intense. So then Ike was like almost pinned this kid. He was out. So it was just kind of like, oh my gosh, like they were just out, or he probably would have won, but it's fine. So then Leo goes out there, same thing. Like we go through, he had 2 losses. He had a pin. It was like he was on that guy forever and the ref didn't call it. And then Leo got pinned. It was crazy. It was intense. We were there for 6 hours for 4 matches that lasted like 2 minutes.
Oh my god!
And how far away is Toledo?
Like 2.5 hours, I think. And Josh and Ashley came all the way to Toledo with Nyla and stayed the whole time.
Wow.
So they were troopers.
Dedicated.
Yeah. So anyway, on the way home, so we decided to take off when our kids were out because it's double elimination. So we were out. They were bummed, but it was a good experience. So we were leaving, and there's snow everywhere, and there's like this ice storm coming. So I'm like, oh my gosh. And Ashley's like, I don't know if we're going to go home. We might stay at my parents' house because they live up there. And Lenny's like, I just need to get home. I need to get home. I need to wake up I need to sleep in my bed. We're just going to go home. So I'm like, okay. So we're driving on the turnpike forever. And there are semis probably going 90 miles an hour in the ice storm.
Oh my gosh.
Semis?
Oh yeah.
I never understand why they drive so fast on the highway.
Ice storm.
Like,
Because they can.
so even that night we were coming home from Cleveland, they were driving like ridiculous.
And I'm like, this is why there's probably pile-ups on the turnpike. Because some semi-trucks going 90 miles an hour and then they jackknife or whatever happens. So we're driving. I have a van. My good old trusty 2016 van, like driving. And Lenny's like, he was probably going 70. He was doing pretty good speed. There was cars, like there was a lot of cars that were going really slow. But we were in the far lane driving. And all of a sudden, everything went black on the car. Our speedometer, our radio shut off, everything went black. And he starts swerving. Because I think we lost like
Did you lose
power steering? Yeah.
Yeah.
So like at that point we had hit ice and he's like swerving. So we swerved to the middle. We're in the far left lane. We swerved to the middle lane. Luckily, there's not a car like right there. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I didn't like freak out. I'm just like, I hope we can live through this. Like, it was like slow motion. And we're flying into the middle lane and he gets it. And then we fishtail and then we go back. And now we're flying to the median, the concrete median. I'm like,
Oh.
and then there's all these cars behind us. So I'm like, if we hit this, we're done. Like, there's no way. Because it's going to cause a pileup. There's semi-trucks. It's all ice, the whole road.
And what are your kids doing during this?
I don't. They were just the only one I know was Eliza was panicking because I heard her. I think Naomi was sleeping.
Oh.
The boys were in the back. I'm not real sure what was going on there. So anyway, Lenny got control by the grace of God because he shouldn't. I mean, I don't know. And then everything came back on, and then he was able to get control. Like the speedometer came back on.
Why did it shut down?
The radio came back on and showed 12. It was like
it reset.
4 something or 5. Yeah, it reset in the middle of the drive.
Insane.
So then he's like, this is driving really weird. I'm going to get over. So then maybe 10 minutes later, like, I'm trying to like, okay. I called my dad. I'm like, hey, just pray for us. We had a really scary experience. Just trying to get home. The car did something really weird. So we're in the far right lane now. And Ashley's like, where are you guys at? Because she was worried about us the whole way home just because of the weather.
Did they stay?
They stayed.
Okay.
How you guys doing? And I'm like, well, we almost just died. Like, we almost hit the median. It was awful. Like, it was a scary experience. So now we're just trying to take it easy and go slow. Then all the lights come on. The gas light comes on. The check engine light comes on. Every light on the dash comes on and starts to flicker. And then the car just turns off. Now we're going down the highway.
While you're driving?
Yeah. It just turned.
Does it stop? Like, does the engine stop and everything?
He had to stop the car and put it into park.
Well, so that's the other thing. Because when you lose all of that, you lose your braking, like, right? So
He was able to brake.
Okay.
He turned on the hazards. There's a car behind us. Luckily, the roads are horrible, and they're slowing down. But I'm like, what about the car behind him and the car behind him?
Yeah.
So it was like sleeting. So he put it into park, and then he started it, and it started. So he's like driving super slow now, and Liza's like sobbing. She's like, Dad, you got to pull off. Now we're in the middle of 2 concrete barriers because it's like a construction zone.
Oh my goodness.
So he drives like 50 feet. And there's the big barrels. And Liza's like, Dad, just pull off. I'm like, I smell gas. We have to get out of this car. So it was like right before it was getting dark. So I'm like, we got to get out of the car. We got to get out. And he's like, okay. It said rest area half a mile. I'm like, we can get out. So we all pile out of the car. The kids are all, Liza's sobbing. Naomi's like, what is happening? We're all kind of freaking out. My boys forgot to bring coats because when we left, it was like 40 degrees. And now it's like freezing.
In the rain.
It's like we're getting soaked really fast.
Uh-huh.
Can I just tell you one thing about that? You sent us a video of like them on the side of the road.
Yeah.
And the one thing I noticed is poor Naomi's like, Minnie Mouse.
I know.
Because she was in the car still.
Because we thought the car could explode. We didn't know what was going to happen
Right.
at that point.
Or what the smell was coming from. Or
And Lenny's like, we could probably drive. I'm like, I am going to call 911. Up ahead of us, there's a wreck. To the left of us, there's lights. Behind us, there's lights. There's cars all over the road. It was so bad. So we smelled this gas. So I called 911 and I'm like, we can either walk. We were going to walk to the rest area first. And I'm like, if one of these cars slip, we're all out. We're dead. Because they were flying. They're flying on these icy roads.
in a construction zone?
Yeah. So I called 911. I'm like, we shouldn't walk because we could die. So I called 911 and I said, I think my car smells like gas. Like we can smell it. And she's like, okay, stay put. Where are you at? I'm like, I don't know. There's a rest area. And she's like, she found my location from my phone. And then I'm like, I don't know where to, she goes, can you get off the road? And I'm like, because when we stepped out of the car, the road was complete ice over there because there was no, we're in the construction zone now. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, we can. It was like steep down in there. I'm like, we can. I said, there is those concrete barriers about 20 feet back. Should we walk to be behind those? So like if a car slips, she goes, yes, walk back there. So we all walk back there. And we're standing there waiting for cops to show up.
Are you sweatier from this story or the rock climbing? I'm not sure.
I mean, it's been a great 2025.
I just know that my dad is always like, don't walk on the highway or anything. And so I'm like freaking out.
Yeah.
Because,
So this Explorer, it was a silver Explorer. It pulls up in between the cones and backs his car up. And he goes, your babies, you need me to help you guys? Your babies are getting all wet. Like, what can I do? And he said, I can take you to the rest stop. And I said, well, the cops are coming. Can we just get in your car until they get here? He goes, absolutely. So we, Lenny's in the front. We're all piled in the back. His car smells like weed. Super nice guy.
you're like, I need to relax. Can I have some of that?
He's so
Color's
nice.
in the back like,
So
I feel better all of a sudden.
the cops show up. I get out of the car because I'm the one that called them. And Lenny stayed in the car with the kids. And I said, we smelled gas. So they go and inspect the car. They're like, I don't think the gas is from your car. I think it's from the accident that's like 50 feet in front of you. Like, because they were like hit. And
well, sure, there was
like a mile back,
everywhere, but you don't know what the smell's coming from. There was a car off
the road and a truck on top of the car.
Oh my gosh.
So he's like, I think it's okay. I can follow you to the rest stop, and then you guys can call AAA or whatever you want to do. I said, okay. So
just
we
to
get in the
off
car.
The highway or whatever.
While they're checking it. And I said, the cops came and said, you're good to go. Like, get in the car. We'll follow you. And I said to the guy, I said, thank you so much. Like, is there any way I can just get your name? And he goes, it's Emmanuel. And then Lenny's like, oh my gosh, God with us. Like,
right.
It was crazy. Like this huge, like, I mean, we were so scared. Even Lenny, he was like, I have never been so scared for so long in my life. Aww. Like, he goes, this is like the crazy stories you hear about. Family stuck on the side of the road gets, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like all these things. So he gets in the car. Emmanuel leaves, and here his kids play sports, used to play sports for the same school that our kids play sports for, so that's super cool. He was headed back to Akron. But anyway, Lenny drove the car to the rest area, and he was trying to, like, get his composure. And then I took all the kids into the bathroom. We step out. The whole sidewalk all the way to the rest area is a complete sheet of ice. My kids slid down the hill to the rest area. It was crazy. So we got back in the car, and Lenny's like, I think we can make it home. Like, we can make it home, because there were so many cars, we would have been stuck there for hours, like waiting on a tow truck or AAA. Like what we had just went through, there's no way. There was accidents everywhere. He's like, I'm just going to take it slow. It started up. It's not doing that now. So we drove home. And then once we got to a certain point, it was like just wet. Yeah. It wasn't as icy, but we made it home. Our van made it home, but we're all traumatized, scared to be in the van. And we were going to wait till we got our tax return to get a new car. But we are biting the bullet. And tomorrow we are trading the van in, because it's just dangerous.
It's time.
I called the mechanic and told him what happened, because I'm like, can you read like what's going on? And he said, I can take a look at it. Like, he can't like scan it to see why it did that. He's like, I can take a look at it for sure if you bring it in. He's like, but I get why you're scared. So I get if you want to just trade it in. But he goes, you have to disclose to whoever you turn that car into what happened, because it will kill people.
So
like, what?
Didn't that happen to you a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, when I was going to the liquor store to get ginger beer. And Liza and I were listening to music. So we don't know if it has to do with like us plugging our phone in to listen to music.
Huh. Oh, I wouldn't think so.
You wouldn't think so, but is there some kind of short?
Short somewhere, a wire, something.
I have no idea.
See, mine does reset itself sometimes, but it's only the radio.
Oh, no, this was everything.
Yeah.
Everything
yours
went
does
black.
Weird things with the radio, not the whole car, like not the dashboard.
That's so crazy.
It was scary. And I just look back at this year and I'm like, okay, I've had multiple death experiences. Whew. So here's to the rest of 2025. Staying alive in 2025.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for listening to the Calm, the Storm, the Whimsy podcast. Follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Facebook, and Instagram. Stay tuned for our next episode.
Row.
Oh my gosh.
That just came out. Row. Okay, what roll? Wait, stop. Hang on.